Welcome back to Bazaar. I'm Minko, and I want to cover some of the stuff in the Season 4 launch patch that was either changed from previews or not included in the official patch notes, because there's a decent chunk of information there that I want to cover. And we're going to get this started by going through the two new sets and talking about things that have been really meaningfully changed. One thing of note is that apparently Cyber Psy is a bronze tier item, and it scales this way, where it's just getting more times you can crit with it to not take damage, which I think just qualifies as a Vanessa nerf, because, like, yeah, that's not very strong, to be honest with you. On the flip side, we have confirmed that Dart Launcher scales the number of targets it slows, in addition to, like, every other number on the card. So, like, Grappling Hook is just shaking and crying in the corner, right? At every tier, the damage is negligibly different. It slows the same amounts. It doesn't poison, and it is, like, literally half the speed. Grappling Hook looks so bad in a world with Dart Launcher, man. We have the scaling for integrated HUD now as well, which is 10% crit chance per tier. That's actually enough crit chance that it's a pretty solid card. Kusarigama also scales the number of slow targets as well, so you're going to be seeing a lot of Mantis Shrimp in this next couple of months, where now that we have Kusarigama and Dart Launcher, there's so many more ways to just trigger slow for Mantis Shrimp and Anglerfish and Lighthouse. All of the new slow cards have the multi-target scaling. In addition, it's also scaling the trained buff, the crit buff, and its negligible base damage value. It scales incredibly well. Oni Mask also scales its burn value incredibly well. It is the best numerical scaling you could possibly have hoped for. I will say I've been pleasantly surprised seeing the cards on other people's boards, but it still doesn't feel particularly impressive to me. Maybe I'm just a hater, though. The boards where I've been losing to Oni Mask, it's been like the fourth best card, and it's done great, but it's just the rest of their build was even crazier. Shuriken, as we expected, is scaling its ammo each time you upgrade it, negligible base damage. But the big reason for this section is that Stealth Glider is not starting at silver at 3 seconds, it's a gold tier starting item that lasts for 8 seconds. And 10 seconds at diamond, but I mean, the difference in 8 and 10, like, you probably pop it off at 8 seconds, right? Like, surely this was enough already. This is an insane amount of time for Stealth Glider to make you invulnerable. And I'll go ahead and mention here as well, I'll do it a little bit out of order. Keg didn't get nerfed. The tooltip did. They nerfed the tooltip, but the actual implementation of Keg is the same. So there is currently a nightmare window where Stealth Glider at 8 seconds and Keg exist in the same game. So, yeah, I hope that gets fixed within, like, the next day and a half, because I'm terrified. I also just generally hope this number gets a massive chunk taken out of it. I think 8 seconds at Diamond would be way too long, to be honest. I think, like, 6 seconds is the top end of what this can say. Money Furnace has been completely reworked and is tremendously better. Holy shit. When you spend gold, this gains plus burn equal to the amount of gold spent. It's completely broken. Also, its cooldown goes down with tier. This is not the effect we thought Money Furnace had. This has changed pretty substantially, and it's insane. The amount of burn this is going to say is exactly equivalent to the amount of damage Orange Julian will read. This thing is completely nuts now. Also, it works very, very well, not just with Balcony, which no longer has any negative synergy with it, but also with Fort and Phonograph. This isn't similar to Kiwas, this is just busted as hell. It's also now charged off using a small item, not specifically a toy. I don't know if that's a buff or a nerf, it's probably a buff. Big Matchbox synergy. Notably with Piggle Protectors, they have reworked the Street Gamer on day 2. He has these now, and the scaling for them is actually pretty impressive. He's kind of a tougher fight than he used to be. At least he's a very different fight in terms of what your build needs to be able to do than he used to be. Also, were these 4 seconds in the preview? Nah, they were 6 seconds in the preview. They got notably buffed. The Pickles from Gaming House is 5, 10, 15 scaling. Did this used to give 1 burn as well in the preview? Yeah, in the preview it gave 1 burn, so that got stripped out of it entirely, which makes it a lot worse in like a Matchbox sort of build. Like, that was the main appeal for it when I saw it. I was like, oh shit, that's really cool with Matchbox. I guess not. I mean, it's still all right with Matchbox just because it's stupid fast, but that's kind of disappointing. Premium Pickles have been completely reworked from what we saw in the preview. Now they're an active item every 3 seconds. They're scaling adjacent values. At Bronze, they're just worse than PNFT, but the value scales up much faster than PNFT. You still get the Premium Pickle. Worth noting, it doesn't seem to upgrade the Premium Pickles anymore. And we're going to talk about the Premium Pickles because they have also been completely reworked as well. So the Premium Pickles are completely reworked from what we saw in the preview. They're now cooldown 4 seconds. Well, they're not all the same. The shield, heal, and damage Pickles are all cooldown 4 seconds, heal, shield, or damage equal to triple this item's value. Which obviously with the value scaling from the Premium Pickles and stuff like PNFT being a toy now, that's actually pretty strong. And, you know, Pygmalion being a value scaler, potentially like coming down to the damage pickle, with this being deal damage equal to triple this item's value, that might be nuts. Also, you will notice there's not like any different text for different tiers. It would seem to be that the reason that these items don't generate any sort of upgrade when premium pickles is going off at end of day like normal pickles is because all that would really do is change their base value slightly. And then burn pickle, the orange one, is different. Its cooldown 6 seconds, burn equal to the item's value. So I mean, like in a world with money furnace, who cares? But that's actually not terrible at all, right? You can have premium pickles and pen FT both going off before this pops off, and it can actually just like immediately be a good burn item on its own. Definitely all the premium pickles look a lot stronger, maybe less broken in the like perfect dream in game where they're going down to 1 second cooldown, but certainly easier to use, more interesting to use, and thematically a massive upgrade over how they used to work. Because previously premium pickles had no story. Now the story of premium pickles is the more you pay, the better they are, which, you know, yeah. That works for a pay to win game card. That's exactly what it should be. Thematically, it's perfectly on point. Something someone pointed out to me in a comment, so I'm going to mention this now. Sponsored apparel doesn't say all your items in play. This affects your stash. So that's actually kind of huge as well. We also now see that it scales by spending less gold at higher tier, which is frankly not very impressive. You'd really rather it be the same gold for more value, or kind of just that, really. It's still good, but it's not like as good as I thought it might be. It might already be great, though. It might not need to be any better. Streaming setup's just a completely different item. Your non-property items have double value during combat, and adjacent non-property items have plus crit chance equal to 1 to 2 times their value. So previously, this affected all of your toys specifically, not your non-property items, and it only affected adjacent toys for the crit value, which I believe is still the same. Yes. So now it's just non-property as opposed to toy only. That definitely makes it a lot more versatile. I don't know that it makes it much better, but I do like this design a lot more, just freeing it from the toy archetype. And Tournament Arena has come out exactly as we saw it previously, which is going to be a problem. It's not just giving you a chance at a second yo-yo. So many people are saying this. I'm telling you, multicasting toys is still going to be good. But additionally, yeah, obviously the much higher chance of seeing duped yo-yos is one of the big appeals of this card. I'm using BazaarDB.gg for the data mine notes, and here you can see that it's only the tooltip changed for Powder Keg, which is unfortunate. Hopefully that gets hotfixed right away. Very worth noting, not including the patch notes, Blue Pickles X, and I imagine in a second we're going to see Red Pickles X and Yellow Pickles X have all been removed. The Omni board-wide pickles just don't exist anymore. Now, something I didn't notice at all when I was reading the patch notes, but apparently was in the official patch notes, is you'll see crit core here went 765 down to 875. The diamond core didn't actually get a nerf. It's just a nerf to the lower tiers in the early and mid game. I think that's a really good, healthy way to change the card. However, what confuses me a lot more and is less good, if we scroll down to ignition core, it's not the same nerf. It's only getting nerfed at silver. The same thing happened on Weaponized Core. Specifically, Ignition and Weaponized only received silver tier nerfs. I assume that either all the other cores weren't supposed to be nerfed at gold, or more likely, Ignition and Weaponized were supposed to be nerfed at gold, and that didn't make it into the patch. But currently, Ignition and Weaponized carry are completely unchanged. Well, not completely. They're nerfed at silver. Plasma Grenade also thankfully got changes to its enchants. The free small items have been dropped to 1/4 its duration. The hastier items have been dropped to 1/5. It still does that effect. You can still buff it up, but it's the smallest possible version of those effects you can have. It is tremendously more okay than it was. They've also finally fixed the rec specs cooldown timings. It's now slow 3 for 3, which is like relatively okay for a large item. Haste 3 for 3, freeze 3 for 1 instead of 1 for 7. Just like infinitely more okay enchant timings on rec specs. Now that the patch is here, we know that Excavation Tools is not going from 6 reduced to 3 to 7 reduced to 3.5. The passive is unchanged. So it is 7 reduced by 3 to 4 now, which is kind of weird because most of those effects are exactly half the cooldown, but whatever, it's fine. So we know the Excavation Tools nerf was a little bit worse than it looked at first. For items that I've never heard of before, like Lunchbox, I'm not going to mention them. I'm going to continue assuming they're not in the game because there's items like Moon Orb where this item's been added. And does it show the art? No. The art literally is a stick figure that says temporary art. This isn't supposed to be in the game at all. Or if it is, then obviously the implementation's messed up. So if I don't recognize an item at all, I'm just going to assume it's like in the background, not meant to be enabled at all. Frontline Logistics is a new skill for Vanessa. This is definitely in the game because I've seen it during one of my old runs. When you use an ammo item, your weapons gain 369 damage to the fight is a very good damage scaling skill for Vanessa. It's rock solid, especially with new items like Shuriken and Dart Launcher. And I totally misread when doing the patch note review. I thought Hardened Shield was cut in value by 50%. It has been buffed. Frankly, I thought it was 10 to 20 reduced to 5 to 10 being more in line with others, but I haven't seen Hardened Shield matter in so long that maybe doubling it is fine. I think this was in the official patch notes. Quick Freeze finally had its duration reduced to be in line with all the other ones. Relax Bro has been changed from a slow trigger to a small item trigger, which puts it more in line with the skill that Street Gamer stops, where when you use a small item, just heal yourself. I think that's just thematically better. It's also probably a better item to begin with, but there's going to be like, it's circumstantial, right? Which one it is. Whether it's a buff or nerf will depend on the build, it's just different. Supply Cache is a new skill. I think I mentioned this in my patch note review. At the start of each day, get 2 loot items. This is probably one of the coolest things to get off starting skill now, because you essentially get 6 income. No, more than that. You get 8 income because you're getting 2 gold smalls every single day, in addition to all the random value it gives me. Like, it's really, really cool. It is probably one of the best starts in the game, although it's not like what you typically expect out of a skill start. And now that we have the actual stats, we can see Waters of Infinity was previously 10, 20, 30, 40. Now it's 20, 30, 40. The main effect of this change is that it can no longer be gotten super early in the game, where 10 regen's way more broken off of something like a tiny furry monster. It's harder to find off of anything like a Zerfin now because it can't spawn at bronze. And did they ever change it? I don't do skill starts anymore. I hate gambling so much at the start of my run. It feels very demoralizing when you miss. But I'm reasonably sure that Waters of Infinity, just like Supply Cache, can be gotten as your starting skill when it started at bronze, and now it cannot because it starts at silver. So even though the gold version's unchanged, it is no longer acquirable as a starting skill, which is a fairly big difference. And I don't know how to show it easily, but there are a couple of new vendors in the game. Maybe there's more I haven't seen yet. If there are, when hot fixes come, I will mention the things I'm not aware of. But the 3 new things I'm aware of is there is a new vendor that sells relics from every hero, and there is a new vendor that sells crit items from every hero. Both of these are gold tier vendors. And then there's a silver tier vendor called, not Sylvia, what's their name? Sterling. And Sterling is like B1, B2, except they work on bronze and silver items. They take it up to the next tier, whether that be silver or gold. And they've been showing up so much in my runs, I wonder if they're like showing up more than they're supposed to be, or if I've just gotten really lucky. They might show up more frequently than you'd expect, though. I'm not certain. They might have some sort of code similar to Mandala. I also haven't seen B1, B2 a single time on this patch. Can anyone tell me if they're okay? Are they still in the game? Oh, and one more thing I just remembered as soon as I started editing this video. They changed how monster experience works. All the monsters have 1 more base experience than they used to. But on hour 3, you do not get any amount of bonus experience. Like, the base experience from the hour doesn't exist. It's just part of the monster fight now on every monster fight. However, this also means that any monster fight event like Deadly Duel gives you the base experience from the hour as well as the monster fight. I cannot confirm this. I didn't have a chance to see it in the 2 games I've played already. But if that's true, be aware that every bonus fight is essentially 1 more experience than it used to be. But that'll be all for now. As hotfixes come out, I will keep updating for any more information we find out, but there will be no more updates in terms of patch notes after this until we get another patch. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Oh, also, like, comment, subscribe. All that nonsense gets forgotten in these videos. I normally do the call to action in my first monster fight, but it still really helps the channel. It really does give it more traction, help it grow, and I really, really do appreciate it. Bye for real this time.